Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. We have an excellent episode for you today in which our guest shares some of his most challenging moments, significant struggles, and how he overcame them through finding his faith. I must say, the number of downloads is increasing significantly, and Nick and Dave seem to be much more relaxed. They said that if things continue to improve, they will allow me to be on their podcast indefinitely. If you'd like to continue hearing my voice, please subscribe to the show on YouTube or give it a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. I will stop wasting time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Ceci.
He's got the hat, dude.
I do have the hat.
Rocking the
I had
hat.
to wear the hat. Dude,
It's a
I
legend.
I loved the two episodes that you guys did do of the gaming podcast. I was laughing the whole time. I love
Really?
those things. They were great, dude. I love those. Like Nick had the best line, man, when he was talking about the Dance Dance Revolution retard who was like beating kids up left and right. And he's like, that man lives for the combo. And just the greatest thing ever, dude.
Well, don't let it all go to his head. He's gonna try to keep cracking him the rest of the episode.
That was great.
Here, Dave,
Well,
I
yeah,
think your thing's a little low, brother. Your mic,
Is it low?
a little bit on my end. No, now it's all the way off.
How's that?
That's a little bit better, yeah.
I wonder why. It's all the way up.
Yeah, yours does. Does it sound low to you, Mike? Or is it just me?
No, I think it's just you, man. It sounds fine to me.
Oh, okay. Mine might just be fucked up on. All right. Continue, brother. Sorry.
Well, yeah. It's nice to know someone would check those episodes out, but really that podcast had to die so that this one could live.
I get it, man. I wanted to jump in on one of those episodes when you guys were talking about the Halo show because that was a fucking crime.
Well, you can give your thoughts today on it.
Yeah.
Dude, my
Well, they
thoughts.
canceled it.
I know, dude, which is good. They should have just made, if it was too hard to do a Master Chief story because you can't find good writers who can write something while he keeps his damn helmet on. Dude, they had a great chance to make like the next Band of Brothers and just follow like an ODST squad around and make it like a gritty, dark war show. You know, like it could have been action packed and that would have been amazing to see. Like you don't even have to follow the game stories. If you want to do your own thing, make it your own thing, but don't bastardize what has already come before and was done so well, That's just my
it's
opinion on it.
crazy, dude. Like the whole Halo franchise is like a part of that is you never see Master Chief, and the first fucking episode, within the first 10 minutes, they show who he is. I'm like, so you just went against the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know why they didn't just go with the normal voice actor who does it, keep the damn helmet on, hire some giant to play Master Chief.
Yeah, and the mountain from Game of Thrones.
Exactly, dude, and just have the guy do his voiceover and you're all good, man. Like, we don't need to see his face. No one cared about who Chief looked like,
His face, let alone his ass 3 times.
Yeah.
File that under things I didn't need to see. Unreal.
Yeah,
that was
so
dude.
Disappointing.
It's good to see you guys too, man. Nick, I see.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I see your wife posting on Facebook, man. You with your kids, and that. Oh, dude, it looks so great. You got a beautiful family, man. Beautiful family.
Hey, Amir, Dave.
Both of you guys.
Yeah, I don't have the Facebook. So I know
but your wife does.
Too. Yeah, she does. She posts shit all the time.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Your wife was posting on there.
Thank you, man. That's how I keep up, brother.
Thanks, dude.
That's how I keep up with a lot of intel from the guys. If you have the wives on, social media or anything like that, or like my wife will be telling me, she'll be showing me other people's profiles, and I'm like, oh, well, that's good to see. But
yeah,
I like not having it on my phone and stuff like that because it just I don't know what I've seen. Like we take our girls to this swimming class once a week, And it's just, you come out, like, after we change them in the changing area or whatever, you come back out and there's like this seating area and all the dads, because a lot of it's like the moms will get in the pool and then my dumbass gets in the pool because we have twins. I mean, sometimes there's other dads, but for the most part, like the moms get in the pool and then the dads are all sitting there and they're just like hunched over their phones. And you walk behind them so you can see what they're doing. And it's like, be like some guy's playing a game, some guy's like looking at stocks, someone's just scrolling so fast on Instagram. Like, it's just like, it's just like, what is happening, man? That it's a 30-minute swim class. You don't just want to watch your kid.
Dude,
No
I
one's in the
so I
moment.
took Facebook off my phone because I found myself doing that, and I just realized like it's so easy to get locked into that, and I don't want to become like that. I don't think it's a good example to set for my kids. I think it's me just not being engaged with my family when I should be, and so I took Facebook off the phone. And now I barely check it. The only time I do stuff on Facebook is through the desktop, and that's for the business, for my business. So basically, I'm only on social media for my business. And even, unfortunately, Instagram is more of a mobile app. And so it's a little bit easier to work off your phone. But even that is something I catch myself starting to do the exact same damn thing on Instagram. And I'm like, not good. So I really try to just be aware of that because, it's not good. And as much as we were like some of the stupid things in the Marine Corps, like you can't be on your phone and walking. And we thought that's the dumbest thing ever. But now, like, I look around and if I'm going to pull my phone out to use it, I stop walking because I just see all these idiots like walking around like this with zero situational awareness, almost getting hit by cars. And it's like, all right, I get it now.
Yeah, it's the truth. But people get so locked in because all that shit's designed to do is to just fucking grab your attention and hold it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you think with your kids, down there, especially when they're really little, they're down there on the floor and they're just looking up at the parents, and 9 times out of 10 they see the parent just looking hunched over the phone, and then that's locked in. That's their memory of that. Like we all have certain like kind of like, oh, I remember, my parents were always doing this, like when they got home from work. Like it's not the same thing every day, but you kind of have those vague memories. And then for our generation, these kids are just gonna be like, I remember my parents like just looking at their phone on the couch. It's like, so I've been really trying to fight against that. But it's the difficult thing is, like you said, with you're running your own business and you need to be people can email you, and then during the day, you might feel like you got to get back to those, and it's like everything is on that damn phone. So I guess we got to maybe we get the chip in our head, and then nobody knows what you're looking at.
Those social media apps are great for businesses. It gets you a lot of traction. You can post different things. People can engage with it. So it is great for that. But I don't know if it's still like this, but you have to have a personal account to create a business account, don't you? So that's how they try to fucking get you on that front too.
Yep.
Yeah. Because it's like, because then you add your little shit to it. Then you get your friend requests on your personal one. They're like, oh, check out what's going on over here. Next thing you know, you're locked in for a fucking hour and a half.
Yeah. I've been going back. I should order a stack of Right in the Reins, but I've been going back to just good old notebooks and stuff for like just to keep, because the notes app and stuff is great, but I don't want to continue to like pick up my phone to check my notes. Like I've been carrying pad and pencil and paper with me almost everywhere, because then you look at what you need on that list or what your to-do list or whatever, and then you move on with your day. You put the thing down. The phone, I'm going to check my to-do list on my phone. The next thing I know, then let's go scroll over to YouTube and see, how the podcast is doing. Oh, it's doing fucking terrible. And then the rest of my day is ruined,
Someone's going to tackle you. I see you now in a fucking McDonald's with a notepad, jotting down notes, looking around. Someone's going to think you're fucking casing the joint and beat the shit out of you.
I I just look at I take a good long look at people for about 5 seconds, then I furiously start writing.
Dude, my first video I posted on YouTube, and I primarily just post on YouTube um, for my students, so I can be like, hey, you want to see what I do, or you want like learn some stuff, go to the YouTube page. But I'm not trying to like get big in the gun tube space, which is highly homosexual anyways. Um, and so I remember like I posted my first video and it was a short, and it was like, hey guys, like here's a little tip for utilizing cover and concealment when you're shooting. And I got my first YouTube comment. And I was like, oh, like I got my first YouTube comment ever. And it was somebody saying, I don't take advice from fat people.
I thought you'd never see it, dude. I'm sorry.
Oh, dude, I was dying. I was like, oh my God, like that's great, dude.
That's the fucking internet for you, dude.
It's like, welcome to YouTube, bitch.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I've checked out some of your YouTube videos though. They're fucking awesome.
Thanks, dude.
We'll link
I
it down in
appreciate
this
that.
video, but they're pretty sick, dude.
Okay.
I watched a couple of them.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we'll have them linked.
So what do you I don't know, like what do you guys thoughts on this episode? You want to do like a story thing like y'all do with Greeny and Walker, or just shoot the crap? What's your plan?
We've already been recording, brother. So we're just
I
gonna
know.
let it roll. Yeah, we just let it roll how it goes, man. And
All
we've
right.
kind of gone away from the so structured approach and
Yeah.
just kind of talk about, you know, like we'll get into it too a little bit, you know, kind of going into your business. It's gonna be the next thing, and then just see where the conversation leads us. We already talked about Master Chief's ass, so we could end it now, honestly. Post it.
Perfect.
Yeah, we lost everybody in the first 30 seconds, so it's whatever we want. No, but I was thinking, what I imagine other people out there may have similar thought as me. I want to start with, what was your experience when you immediately, and we'll circle back to the military, but when you first got out of the military, because I'll tell you mine. I'm leaving the barracks in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I'm a single guy, got the whole world ahead of me. I immediately go to Nick's house, and Kevin Moore was with me for all of this too. I had no plan with what I was going to do with my life, really. I was enrolled in college, but I decided to go straight to Nick's house. I squatted there for maybe 3 or 4 days and just did drugs and got really drunk, and then I drove to see my family in Illinois. And that was all before, starting school and all that. But what were your thoughts after the Marines? Did you have a plan, or did you just kind of mess around for a little bit like I did? Or
yeah, so it was weird getting out. I was kind of in limbo for a while there, for a couple months before I even got out, because our new chain of command came in, and I don't remember, Dave, if you were there for that or not. You might have left to the next unit, but the new CO came in with the new first sergeant, and they brought in all the NCOs, and they're like, hey, like, who's re-enlisting? And a couple guys raised their hands. I didn't. And they said, okay, like, you guys who are getting out, like, shut the fuck up and get out of our way. Like, I don't care what you do, but just fuck off and get out of my company, essentially. It's like, oh, okay. Like, that's an interesting way to talk to, your most your most experienced guys who are like on the line with, your newest dudes. Like, that's an interesting plan. And so I kind of did that, and I started applying for law enforcement stuff. I was planning on trying to be a cop like everybody else, and none of that was really working out. And so when I got out, I just remember, I had the guy who gave me my DD-214 take a picture of me. I was all smiling. I'm like, yeah, I'm out of the Marine Corps. And then I probably sat around for like a week or so, because me and my wife, Mel, we were living with her parents in Palm Springs. And so I kind of sat around for a little bit. And I was still applying to law enforcement agencies. I got a job as a bouncer at the local strip club. And it was really, over the next year was just really hard. I think a lot of guys, I don't know about you guys, but it was hard. for me, really hard.
Yeah.
Getting out of the military. I didn't get along with anybody at all. Like I just didn't understand people, hated them. That second deployment we went on, Dave, like one of the jumps out of the Ospreys, I got jacked up with my back, and it really didn't start showing up till we got back home. And so I was just in a lot of pain. I got super fat. And I was just miserable, depressed, drinking all the time. I didn't do any drugs because I was still trying to be a cop. Although now I'm like, dang it, I should have just done that. But it was miserable, man. And you know, like my wife got pregnant. And so we just had a really rough. It was really rough for about even 2 years there. It was just horrible, dude. So
that was during that first year she got
Mhm.
pregnant.
Yeah, so it was hard, man. We were living with her parents, and she's Filipino, so she had a bunch of extended family in the house. So we're all crammed into this little house.
Oh,
And then you know, like I start working at a different security place, and then I start going to this private security school because it gives you a lot of really good certs for law enforcement and possibly like contracting jobs, because there was a lot of contractors that would recruit from that school because a lot of guys that went there used their GI Bill. And then COVID hit and shut it down. And so I'm in California and COVID hits, everything gets shut down. My son gets born. I was just not a good dad. I had a really hard time connecting with him. My wife almost died during childbirth. And so it was really hard, dude. And I couldn't get a job because everything in California was shut down. Right. And so,
oh man.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
that's kind of, yeah, like 2020 was a really rough year. And then eventually things got a little bit less dumb. They opened the school back up that I was going to. So Mel and our son moved to my parents' house up in Thousand Oaks, California, because that's where the security company was located. And so we were living with my parents, and I started working for that company because when I graduated, they immediately offered me a job, and they're like, "Hey, we got this big contract rolling in. We want you to work with us." And the contract was to work with the Beverly Hills Police Department because they didn't have enough officers to deal with all the riots and the looting. And they basically were like, dude, Beverly Hills is too nice to deal with this. Like, we are not going to let this happen because of how much money's there. And so we started working
They brought it.
with.
They're just bringing in a bunch of. I mean, yes, you had your training, but I'm sure there was guys that were not prior military or things like that they just pulled them up to have extra bodies.
So basically, the way it worked is the company that I was with got the contract, and they were very selective about who they brought on to that specific job because of how high profile it was, because of the nature of what we were doing. So they were looking for very specific guys to fill that role. So we rolled around with Beverly Hills Police Department for a couple months, did some riot control stuff with them. And then the elections were happening. And so then it was just a whole nother set of riots and all sorts of insanity going on down there. And so, yeah, I did that. I was with that company until about April 2021 when I.
Shit.
I guess he's gone. That's it.
That's
the podcast.
He said, stop recording.
You guys
Here he
there?
comes.
Yeah,
There you go.
it said stop recording, and okay. What happened?
All right. You said you're with that company till 21?
Yeah, I was with that company until 2021, and then I moved out here to Wyoming.
Wait, I want to pull back to some of those things there.
Yeah.
So what stories do you have from being a bouncer at the Palm Springs strip club?
Yeah, I'm sure that was fucking hectic.
It was nuts.
Start naming names. Which of the boys did you see trying to stumble into that place?
So I didn't see any of our guys, but I did stop an entire boot drop essentially from going in there. Okay, so the two craziest things. One, we had this we had a couple Albanian dudes show up. And they were coked out of their minds and they were all drunk. And one of them like grabbed one of the girls and like full on started to try to make out with her. And she didn't like that. And so she bit his lip, like almost right through his lip. There's like blood everywhere. Well, this dude
Jesus.
straight up just punches her square in the face, dude. And she just falls like a bag of bricks, dude. And she's bleeding all over the place. And so me and the other bouncer that were there, we jumped this guy and basically beat the crap out of him. And like almost like the classic movie thing where we're both carrying him and just boom, like throw him outside of the club. Well, and all his other boys run out there and they're start screaming at us about how they're with the Albanian mob and they're going to come back and, you know, like shoot this place up. And we're like, great, like this will be fun. And so that, like, they left after that and didn't come back, thankfully. And then probably the other most crazy story is it was like 3 a.m. We had shut the club down. And we had this one girl that was still there, one of the dancers, and she was drunk out of her mind. And it was just me and the other security guard left. And we're like, hey, like, we need to close. Like, you need to get dressed and get the hell out of here. We're standing outside waiting with her because her boyfriend's supposed to come pick her up. And we're like, okay, where is he? And she's like, oh, I think he's coming. So he calls her, the boyfriend calls her, and we can hear him through the phone, like screaming at her, like, I'm going to beat your ass again if you come home drunk. Like all this, you know, threats of violence and stuff. And we're just like, dude, like, that's not good. Right. And so the other security guard, he looks at me, he's like, what's up?
You don't want to just put her in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And it's like, man, I don't like, you know, I'm not going to let this girl get beat. And so the other security guard, he's driving a motorcycle. And so he's like, hey, I can't do anything because like she's drunk. I'm not putting her on the back of my bike. And I was like, crap. And we're like, okay, like her boyfriend's not going to come get her. She's drunk out of her mind. So I asked her, like, do you have a credit card? She's like, yeah. I was like, give me your wallet. So I take her wallet and we basically decide I'm going to drive her to the Motel 6 and check her into a room so she can sleep it off. And like, that's it. And I'm married right at the time. So like, I'm like, dude, I don't want nothing to do with this nasty woman. Like, gross. And so
but now you're driving a stripper to a Motel 6.
I know, dude.
It's not looking good.
No, it's not looking good. And so I throw her in the car and I'm tired at this point. Cause I'm like, dude, I'm exhausted. Like, I don't like dealing with this crap. And I call my wife and I tell her like, hey, this is what's going on. Like, I got to go do this thing. And she's like, okay, no problem. And so, I throw her in the car and I sit down in the driver's seat and she looks over at me. She's like, you're so nice. And she's just completely blitzed, dude. And I'm like, just stay there. Like, you know, and she like leans over and tries to kiss me. And I strong arm the crap out of her and basically knock the wind out of her as I blast her back against the seat. I'm like, no, like, this is not what this is, man. Like, and so she turns like that and she starts cussing at me and like screaming every profanity that she's mad. And I'm like, dude, shut up. So I get her to the hotel and I grab her wallet and I tell the person at the front, like, hey, this girl's drunk. Her boyfriend's going to beat her if she goes home. So we're throwing her in a room. Like, here's her card. She's like, okay, cool. We get a room key. I take her to her room because she can't even carry her own bag. She's like stumbling all over the place, dude. I get her to the room and I put her bag in the room and I'm like, here's your room key. You know, like, sleep it off, figure your life out. Goodbye. And as I'm shutting the door,
I said that to Nick many times.
Puts her hand in the door frame. She puts her hand in the door frame, right, to stop it from closing. And she goes, well, aren't you going to come in? I'm like, no, like, I don't want anything to do with you. Like, this is not what this is. I got to get home to my wife. And she's like, fuck you. You suck. Like, you must be a cock-sucking fag. Like, all this stuff, right, just goes off. And I'm like, cool, dude. Like, I got to go. See ya. And she slams the door in my face and I go home. And I'm like telling my wife what happened. Well, then like 3 nights later, this girl shows back up to the club. And I look at her and I'm like,
oh, I didn't even think about that. She's got work. a few days later.
And so I look at her and I'm like, are you feeling better tonight? And she's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? And I'm like, you don't remember anything, do you? She's like, nope. I was like, okay, that's fine. Well, I had told that story to the other security guard. And so he like went and grabbed her. And he like later told her like, hey, you were blitzed. Mike made sure you like got, to the motel safe. Like he's the one that made sure you didn't get your ass beat that night. And so she actually came to me later that night and she's like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I did not know you did that
Wait.
stuff. What's up?
You guys hear? Is there a dog?
Oh yeah, that's my dog. Sorry, 1 second.
Oh no, you're good. I was trying to figure out if that was coming from because my dog whines like that sometimes. And
Yeah, that's my dog whining. Sorry.
no, it's fine.
I thought it
My
was a
dog
mic
does-
feedback
my dog-
thing going on.
Yeah.
Like the
But
microphones.
anyways, so yeah, so she actually comes over to me and apologizes, and she's like, "I'm so sorry. Like, thank you for not taking advantage of me or whatever." Like, and I was actually like, because I was married, I was the most popular bouncer with the girls because I was the only one that wasn't trying to get into their pants. And so I got tipped pretty well and was well liked because I actually was the only one there that was like, my only job was to make sure they didn't get, harassed.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Like a lot of guys probably apply for that job,
Yep.
but with their other intentions than
Mhm.
keeping the peace.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So how about we do a little role playing scenario? You're standing outside the club and you see me and Nick are walking up, arm in arm, stumbling, probably 85% fucked up, and we come up there and grab you by the scruff of the shirt and say, "Let us in, let us in." What's the protocol for that? Do you guys start just roughing people up immediately, or
Mm-mm.
do you ever have to call the police on any? Like, what happens?
Like, so if you
If
guys,
people are like really drunk.
so if you guys tried to come in really drunk, we'd probably take you, like I didn't work at a club that was super above board with that stuff. The only time we
I
would,
guess, drunk guy comes in, he's gonna spend a lot of money.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so really the only thing that we had was, if we had guys like really getting handsy with the girls, like we go over there and break it up and we tell them, like we basically give them a warning, like, hey dude, you're not allowed to do that in this club, like go somewhere else if you want to. And if they kept doing it, we tell them you need to leave. Most of the time people were pretty compliant and would just, get up and leave. There were a couple times people would get really pissed and, try to square up, but typically in my experience, people are cowards. And so I would just be like, okay, like, do you want to do this inside
my
or outside?
co-host. Wait, what? Sorry, I was trying to make a shitty joke, making fun of Nick, but
Oh, I didn't hear you.
what did? Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the audio, we got to figure it out. We need better microphones or something.
Well,
I feel like
I
people that just put it.
I should do the headphones too. I got the speakers on, but I got them kind of low because I don't want it to backfeed because I know I was
Right.
doing that before.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, whatever you think.
I'm gonna cut it up a little.
I was just earlier when Mike was saying in his experience people are cowards, and I said, yeah, look at my co-host. But no, go dive into that a little more. Like people would square up to the bouncer, and then you tell them, and you got to have all the confidence in the world, especially you're completely sober and these idiots are wasted.
Yeah, I'm there. You guys know me. I'm not a super tall guy, right? Like I'm like 5'4" nowadays. And I'm not like huge. And so, but I would just tell them like, hey, like if you want to do this, like we can, and we can go outside. And there's just something like when they're actually faced with the threat of violence, like, oh, you actually have to make a choice right now, whether you're going to stand up and fight or you're going to leave. A lot of people just realize like, oh, I really don't want to fight right now. And the thing is, man, like I've been in a couple of the fights there and I've walked away bloody, but I'm the one that's walking away and the other people aren't. And that's not because I'm a great fighter. It's just because, like I'm not going to give up. And most people, once they've been punched in the face, especially if they've never been punched in their life, they're like, maybe I don't want to do this. And it's like, yeah, you
And
probably
you got the
don't.
sober up.
I don't want to do it either, but I can at least I can at least do that.
Yeah. Well, and you go home, tell the wife some good stories,
Yeah.
So,
What about or no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, a part of the story too, when you were going through that, and you don't have to get into it if you don't want, but you talked about your wife with the childbirth and like a tough time connecting with your son. Do you want to get into any of that or talk about
Yeah, man.
what went down with any of that?
So she gave birth in March of 2020. So all full COVID stuff in effect in California.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It was miserable, dude. And
I'm
so,
sure.
what's up?
Did they let you in the room? I guess you're about to get into it, but
Yeah.
that's my initial. That was where
Yeah,
my thought
I was
went.
thinking
So
too.
they were like, well, like you can be in the room, but it might be a little bit safer if you're not. And I was like, get out of my way. Like I'll be in the room, of course.
Yeah.
So essentially what happened was, we go there and you guys have kids now. So like, childbirth, especially that first one, can be really hard on a mom. The next kids are typically easier. But that first one was rough for Mel, and she had a really harsh nurse that was like, "You need to push this baby out right now, push, push." And so my wife pushed pretty hard and ended up getting a third-degree tear. And so she had some pretty massive hemorrhaging. She lost half her blood in her body, and so she went into shock, right? And so she went into shock, and the hospital decided like, oh, her blood count or her blood pallet level, something like that, did not fall below the threshold needed to get a blood transfusion. And so she had like a 77, and like the threshold was like 76 or something like that. I don't remember all the numbers.
Yeah.
But so that's
you're explaining it well. Like I'm following. Even the numbers don't matter, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Like right before. So what, they just made her like ride it out and try to.
Yep. And so I'm watching her, and I'm putting blanket after blanket on her, and she's shivering, and she probably had like 6 blankets stacked up on her, and she's shivering, cold, clammy skin, like all the stuff that we know from the Marine Corps is like, this is shock. Like this is like stage 4 shock. Like barely could remember that she just had a baby, And so all this is going on, and I'm like basically begging the nurses, like, give her blood. She's in shock. They're like, well, you don't know that she's in shock. It's like, yes, I do, you retard. Like I've had a little bit of training. And so
what was his hospital? They're screaming at her like a football coach, and then they say,
yeah.
Yeah, what the hell?
Like, yeah.
So anyways, so it takes like 2 days later. So she's in shock, essentially in and out of consciousness for about a day and a half. And then her blood count or whatever it is finally falls below that threshold. And they're like, oh, now we can give her blood. And they give her 1 bag of blood. And within 45 minutes, she's like almost perfectly fine. And then we get to go home. And I'm like, you sons of bitches. Like, what the hell are we doing here?
That seems insane.
So that was just,
but every
fucking protocol.
I know, dude.
Everything was okay with the baby, your son?
Yeah, our son was totally good, very healthy. And so I think honestly, like the hardest thing for me, when I talk about connecting with him was one, so just like being a first time dad, I think it's hard for us because it's like, well, and especially my wife almost died. And so she was very weak the following the following month and a half. She couldn't do that much. And so it was all on me to do a lot of the stuff with the baby. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with this kid, right? Like I have no clue. And so and one of the hardest things was on the second deployment. And I don't know, because like I know, Dave, that you jumped around from like being with my squad to being with some of the other guys. So I don't think you were there for this. but we ended up going and setting up some sort of, vehicle checkpoint. And it was late at night, and we had this vehicle come flying towards us. And I think Austin Corley was with me. So anyways, we had this vehicle fly up on us. And we like did
Pull
all,
back for a second.
yeah.
Pull back for 1 second. You're talking about this was when you went into Al Assad, Iraq?
I think it was
Is this
there.
where-
Yeah. I think we were there. Yeah. So again, I can't remember like exactly which part of that deployment it was because we moved around so much.
Mm.
But anyway, so this vehicle comes flying up, and we do all the the pop-ups and all that stuff. And the car like flies to a halt. And so me and Corley, like, we run up to the car, we're screaming at the driver to get out and get on the ground. So he gets out and gets on the ground, and Corley's got him. So I have to check the rest of the vehicle. And so I jam my rifle into the back seat, right? And like hit my white light. And there's like a 4-year-old boy there, and he's just bawling and he's screaming in fear, looking at me like I'm the devil incarnate, right? And so, anyways, like that really, that stuck with me, right? Like I was like, okay, like that wasn't great doing that. And so when my son
Was
would,
anything wrong?
what?
Was anything wrong with the kid in the back seat, or what?
I think
He
it
was just screaming because
the
the Marines had
situation.
guns on him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, he was terrified about like what was happening, right? Like his dad's yelling like something. Like we obviously don't understand what the hell his dad's yelling, but he was just terrified. And he was fine, like physically and everything. Like, we checked him out, he was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, when my son would cry, it sounded like that. And so it would just, it just kind of messed with me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
And so it was
something
really,
to throw you off,
yeah. And
or because I mean that was a stressful situation, vehicle roll, and being. I mean, did you say, was it at night? Or I just imagined it being in the dark because you said you put your white light on, which is a flashlight for people listening, just a flashlight on the end of the rifle, white light. But yeah, I mean, that's just a super stressful situation. Your cortisol was probably through the roof.
yeah.
And then, dude, I got 2 babies in the house right now. They start screaming. Your cortisol spikes through the roof. So I could see how like both of those situations could be connected and like even add to the stress of like I wasn't there for that. And so I just know how stressed I get when my kids are crying, and then you add in an experience like that on top of it. I see what you're saying.
So
It would really throw you off.
yeah, so that was just a struggle. Trying to deal with that. Like my son would be crying, and I'm just thinking of that. Like my mind would kind of go back to that. Like, and so it just made it really hard to connect with him and to care for him. And then like me and my wife, our relationship was like we weren't like on the brink of divorce or anything, but we just didn't know how to be married. And so it's not like we had great communication. And so it's like I have all these problems I'm not talking to her about. She's got all these problems and a kid. And so I was getting essentially like, and this is not her fault. I was just not getting cared for, and I wasn't caring for her well at all either. And so
Right.
just, you combine all that stuff, and it was a disaster. And all that added to just, that first year and a half, about 2 years being out of the Marine Corps was just absolutely miserable. Like your identity, who you are being a Marine, that gets essentially taken away. And I don't think we consider that when we get out. And so that was probably the hardest thing for me. And that's what, led me to just be really depressed at times. There were a couple times I thought about just being done with it. And so, yeah, it was hard, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that stuck out to me. You briefly touched on it, but that feeling of you not being cared for in that situation, and I think that's something dads in general probably feel and don't talk about. I mean, obviously right in the very beginning, right? Like coming home from the hospital, it's all, oh, you know, your wife from the South, you know, that was a traumatic experience. So you probably put everything you have into her, everything you have into the baby. But then after a few weeks or a few months go on, and it's all the focus being with the mom and the baby, the dad's, you know, I know I've selfishly had some of those feelings sometimes where it's just like you come home from work and boom, you're right into baby mode and everything. And it's just like, man, sometimes it crosses your mind. It's like, man, what about me? Like, but then, like you said, eventually you figure out like, oh, well, I can just, am I doing as much as I should be for my wife? And all of us can look in the mirror and be like, no, you know. So it's like it goes both ways. Like it's the baby itself, having the baby or multiple kids in the house. You as parents, you have those thoughts of like, you know, why isn't anyone looking after me? But it's like, well, am I also looking after her? You know, she probably feels the same way I do right now, and the kids just take so much focus.
Yeah,
there's no guidebook to any of it either. You know, everybody's just figuring this shit out as they go.
Yeah,
that makes it
but
tough.
I could see that being that's a lot of shit, man, in just a couple of years. And like you said, you didn't know how to be married. What happened with a lot of us, you know, either kids come with the marriage, or kids come first, you know, a lot of times nowadays, and then people get married. You know, that's what, well, we got married, you know, just before they were born. But it's like you weren't married a long time before she got pregnant, so it's like you didn't have those 2-3 years to kind of figure things out.
Yeah, same with me.
What's life like living with someone. And dude, that's a lot. How did you, so you said you got like, you had those thoughts kind of travel through your mind. Like I know this happened to a lot of guys, and we talked to a lot of people. Just it hasn't been on the podcast, you know. Just everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people say the same thing. They get out of the military, they hit that, just like, what the fuck, man? Like you start to question, like, why did I get out? You know, even though some certain aspects you're really enjoying, but you got to find yourself like all over again. What's your comeback story through all this?
So for me, it really, I think, honestly, like for me, what I believe is the biggest thing that veterans face when they get out of the military is a loss of identity. I mean, a lot of us joined as soon as we got out of high school. You know, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, or maybe a little bit older, but like still, like, I don't know who I am or what I'm going to be. And then the military is like, well, I'll fucking tell you who you're going to be. Right. And I think the Marine Corps is probably the biggest culprit, because no other branch can tell you who their first female enlisted person was, or no other branch can tell you their birthday, or like all this ridiculous stuff, right? Like the Marine Corps is like very good at like, you are a Marine and you're a Marine until you die, right? And so that becomes our entire identity. And especially, you know, like, we weren't just any Marines. We were fucking infantry Marines in 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, India Company, right? Like there's a huge pride that goes with being in the infantry, you know, and especially us, we're all extinct. There's no more assaultmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, and I think when we get out, it's like, okay, who am I if I'm not that anymore? You know, like, where do I find my worth? Like, apart from the military. And I think a lot of guys, like, I tried to go into law enforcement. So I was like, hey, like, if I can go be a part of something more than myself, you know, maybe that will fix me and fix that void I have. And so it really was just a feeling of, I don't have any worth outside of the Marine Corps. Like, my entire identity at that point was like, am I good enough for my team? Am I good enough for, you know, the Marine Corps? And I fully drank the Kool-Aid when I was in. Like, I remember a lot of, like, you guys, my friggin' seniors, like, you know how it was. Like, I was not the fastest. I was not the strongest. I was always the fat one. And so for me, it was, I'm constantly trying to prove that I belong here and like I deserve this, you know, and I'm an asset to this assault section. And I carried that. Like, I remember we were doing gun drills, and Dave took the SMAW from me. And the SMAW is for those who don't know, the SMAW is a rocket launcher. That's the system that we specialized in. And getting that taken from you is a slap in the face. It's basically like, you suck. And I remember he took it from me and he started running. And he's like, you better, if you want this, you gotta come get it. And like, that drove me, man. I was like, dude, like, I'm not, like, I will take that SMAW. Like, I will show you, at the time, like, I'm going to show Corporal Lawless that I belong here. Like, I'm going to show, Sensei, that despite my cross-eyed and my fat face, like, I belong in this section. And so, I that was all I cared about. And so when I got out of that, it's like, fuck, man, like, do I have any value? Am I worth anything? And for me, like, I'll speak personally. I found that value in my relationship with Jesus. I'm a Christian, and I found that, just that message of, hey, like, you're loved and you have worth, not because of the things you do, but just because I made you and I want to be with you and have a relationship with you. Like, that gave me value and hope. And I know there are guys that, that's not their thing, and they think it's bullshit and all that. And, they can do their own thing. I have no hate for anybody, but for me, that was a message I needed, and I was in a really bad spot, man. And so just kind of getting that, really just started to kind of change how I thought about life. And I think part of it was, I think we all know, like, one of the biggest fears in the military is being a burden on your team and letting your team down. Like, letting my brothers down that's why I wanted to be so good. I couldn't think of anything worse than not being able to carry, Dave out of a fight, or, like, cover Sensei while he's doing gun drills. Like, I couldn't think of anything worse than letting you guys down. And so when I got out of the military, that was my thought, is like, dude, I'm worthless. I can't get a good job. I can't, father my son well. I'm a bad husband. I'm just slowing my team down, and they'd be better off without me, and I battled really heavily with some of those thoughts. But for me, that was, I found redemption in Jesus and that identity he offers. So yeah.
Did you grow up religious at all, or did it kind of come about after? Like, did you, like, lose some of your religion throughout the military and then kind of get back into it?
So I grew up, I grew up in a Christian home. I have an older brother. I actually have a twin brother, and I have a younger sister and a younger brother. So there's 5 of us. And we grew up, like, going to church, and I was like the typical, Sunday school nerd, knew all the answers, like, all that stuff. And at some point, it did become very religious. And it was like, well, I need to do X, Y, and Z in order to, like, be a good Christian. And I think, nowadays, like, what I realized in reading the Bible is that Jesus is like, hey, it's not about how good you do. It's about being in relationship with me. Now, like, as a married man, I love my wife. And so my behavior and the things I do are going to change to reflect that I love my wife. And I think that's what Jesus wants for us. And so that really recontextualized it for me. And it wasn't this checklist of things to do. And if I screwed up, it's like, okay, you're fucked now. It's, hey, like, you're going to screw up and mess up, but I still love you and I still want to have a relationship with you. But I definitely, at some point in high school, it did become religious. And so I just stopped caring about it. There were a couple times in the Marine Corps when I did pray. I would say when my first deployment, my ex-wife left me. We had like 2 months left on the deployment, and she was like, I'm running off to Italy with some dude. See ya. Dave remembers that. Nick, you probably remember that too. And, you guys warned me I shouldn't have married her, but I did, against your advice. I regret that. And then the second time, what?
I don't 100% call us telling you not to. Did we tell you not to?
Yeah. Nick walks into my room. Don't marry her. And then Dave walks in. How much do you want me to share here, Dave? Because what I'm going to share might embarrass you.
Say it. The people have to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Nothing gets cut
so
unless I
Dave,
don't like it.
Dave comes into my room and he's like, "You don't need women, Ceci. Here." And he pulls out these.
Hello there.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
He's like, "This is what you need, brother." He's like, "Try this out."
Oh, you're a sick fuck.
That's getting cut. That's getting ripped.
Yeah, but and then the second time I would say like the second time that I can recall like praying in the military was on the second deployment, and I had found out that before we had deployed, I had gotten engaged to my current wife Mel, and we had gotten engaged. And about 2 months into the deployment, she calls me, or you guys know what I mean. She like FaceTime me or whatever, and she's like, "Hey,
Mhm.
like you need to know that like I got pregnant before you left, and we just lost the baby." And that was just like, fuck, dude, like that sucked, man. Like that was horrible. And so I remember praying then, and I think it's just, again, I'll speak for myself, just a testament to God loving us despite what we do, because I did legitimately feel some peace and comfort, even though I wasn't, doing all the Christian things.
Right.
So that was cool. But yeah, like that's that's kind of my redemption arc, Dave.
And then you said, so, you went into the security school and stuff, and then her family's in California. Your family's in California. Why Wyoming?
The reason we went to Wyoming was I wasn't getting into any law enforcement agency in California, multiple different reasons. And my dad was like, "Well, I know a guy who's a cop up in this small town called Gillette, Wyoming." Now, Gillette is about 2 hours north of where we are in Casper. And he's like, "You should talk to him." I was like, "Okay." So I called him up and he's like, "Yeah, man, like come out here, come be a cop. Like we'll take you." I'm like, "Okay." And so me and the wife were like, "Well, if I try to go through this application process out of state, it would require multiple visits to Wyoming." And I was like, and we were looking at moving out of California just because it's so expensive, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and it's insane. It was so
Yeah.
expensive. And so we looked at other states, but I basically told her, like, I don't want to go to Texas and I don't want to go to Arizona because I freaking hate the desert. Like, I spent 4 years there. Like, I'm not going back to the heat. Like, screw that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, you're running around in a police uniform
yeah. And
in
so,
the heat.
so we looked at Wyoming and we were like, "Hey, like, that place seems cool. Like, there's a lot of freedoms out in Wyoming. Like, it's super, at the time I was really concerned about like the political stuff. And so I was like, "Oh, that place is super conservative. Like, let's go there." Um, Nowadays I don't really care about that stuff as much, but we were like, "Hey, like, let's just move there." And we're like, "Okay." And so I started looking for a job in the security sector because that's what I was doing. And eventually this guy called. I had talked to this one guy and the job offer fell through. And then he called me up about a month later and was like, "Hey, man, I know you still want to come to Wyoming. So if you want, I got a security job for you. It's in Casper. It's not in Gillette, but it'll still get you in the state." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "This is how much I can pay you. This is the hours I can offer you. What do you think?" I was like, "Well, it sounds good." He's like, "Okay, well, if you want the job, I need you here in 5 days." And I was like, "Okay, like, let me talk to my wife." And so I talked to Mel and I was like, "Hey, this is what's going on." She's like, "All right, screw it. Let's do it." And I was like, "Cool." And so we packed everything into a box truck and left.
Oh, wow.
Oh shit.
Going back to just having faith. Sometimes it just all works out. The plan you had originally, and it seems like it's all worked out. So you go to Casper for the security job, and did you just work there a short while, or was it a couple years? What was it like doing that?
Yeah, so I was actually only in the security job for a couple months. Moved up here, applied for the police department, and they just were like, "No," like flat out, "No." And I was like, "What the hell?" Okay, that's weird. And so, again, I'm like, I pray a lot now. And so I was like, okay, God, like I thought I came up here to be a cop. So can I try out for the local sheriff's office? And he was like, sure. So I, start doing the application process with the sheriff, get pretty far. And then they're just like, no, we don't want you. And so I got really pissed. I was like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. Like I came out here to do this. So again, like I prayed about it and I was like, oh God, like why? Like why is this happening? And what I felt like he told me was, like don't put your identity in these jobs. Like just put your identity in me and I'll show you what to do, which was a really hard thing for me to do. But I was like, okay. And then like a week or two later, I was just sitting there and kind of at the security office praying like, okay, God, well, what do I do? And I was like, I still, as gay as this might sound, part of the reason I joined the Marine Corps is because I wanted to keep people safe. And I like the idea of defending people and defending my family. And so I was like,
That's not gay.
I'm fucking around.
Yeah, it's hard. We're all wired to not want to open up too much. You walk out of the barracks wearing some new T-shirt you picked up, and everyone starts calling you a faggot, and you quickly turn back in your room to change. That's what we're used to.
And so anyways,
no, man, that's what a good man should want to do.
Yeah,
even
100%.
It's as you're coming through high school, none of us were. I guarantee none of us. I didn't know you guys in high school, but I guarantee none of us were good men coming out of high school.
Yeah.
But you had some kind of message in your head. It's like, okay, I should find a way to like help people or protect them, or that's definitely part of it. I mean, there's some crazy bastards join the Marines just because they want to kill someone so badly, but we might have some of them on the show, but but no, but I think most people that I met in the infantry had no matter what kind of family background they came from, they had a decent enough head on their shoulders with those values that it's like, hey, I realize I have some physical abilities, because really not. I mean, you hear about it now. There's like some crazy stats. If we had an assistant, we could pull it up. We sent him home for the night, but it's like over 50%, maybe 60-70% of high school aged males right now like wouldn't even qualify. And what's to get in the Marines? You do 3 pull-ups in like a slow ass fucking 1.5 mile time. Like it's not hard to get in. The bare like I'm not saying you'd be successful, but the minimum requirements are nothing.
Yeah.
And to think these young guys that are supposed to be in peak condition can't even fit those standards, like we're going down the dangerous slope.
So anyways, I was just, I was praying. I was like, all right, God, like I still want to do that. If you don't have that for me, then just tell me. And I felt like he said, well, why don't you just teach people how to keep themselves safe? Teach people to defend themselves. I'm like, that's a great idea, dude. And so like, I'll be quick about this, but essentially what happened was I was like, okay, I'm going to look and see if there's any firearms training companies in the area and see if they want help. There was one like in the area. So I called him up and I'm like, hey man, this is here's my background. I want to get into training people, do you need help? And he's like, well, I only do this as a part-time gig. So I couldn't hire you full time, but sometimes I need some help. I was like, okay. And he tells me, he's like, well, I'm actually going down to this one town and I'm going to do a training with their sheriff's office. And I might want you to come along with that. And I was like, cool. Like, I don't want you to pay me. I just want to learn about the industry and get into it. And he's like, okay. So he calls me up and he's like, hey man, yeah, come on down. Like, come down here for 3 days and help me train these sheriffs. And so I go down there and I end up I trained the county sheriff, the undersheriff, and their 2 top firearm expert captains. And Wyoming is kind of like 15 years behind on a lot of things. And especially when it comes to like firearm tactics, like they're kind of old school. And so I'm bringing all this stuff from just our, Marine Corps infantry, and they're like their mind is blown. And they're like, this is awesome. Like, this stuff is so great, man. Like, this is incredible. And so it's like, dude, like, not only did I get to go train people, but I got to train like the county sheriff and his top guys. And it's like, dude, like I get to work with these, cops. I don't even have to deal with all the BS of being a cop, and I can just train people and shoot guns all day. Like, hell yeah. And so this guy kind of walked me through like how to start a business up. And, that was the inception of the business. And I was thinking about, what do I name it? And I was like, well, I was in 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, the cutting edge. And I was like, dude, I want to give people like, I want to keep the training on like the cutting edge of the firearms industry and what's going on. So it kind of just works out. So that's why the company is called Cutting Edge Tactics and Training. It's like it's a honor to my unit that I love deeply. And also I think it just sounds like a good name for a firearms training business. And I've been doing that for the last 4 years now. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that really is a great story of just struggle and, as you said, feeling like you failed multiple times and kind of having that look in the mirror or for you, it was a talk, you're praying about it and you have that realization of like, it isn't just what my job is, that would be who I am. And dude, that is everybody, almost everybody I talk to, they're like, well, what do I do now that I'm on the outside? And it's like, well, you're still the same guy that we liked, that we served with and all the stuff that you've done and the things that you learned. And man, you were talking about earlier that you felt like you really had to prove your way into the section and for different reasons, but that's everybody. That's the great thing about the military, was you figure out what you are bad at and it shows. Like, you can't really hide anything. I know for me, dude, as being doing all the breaching stuff, my biggest weakness was just trying to remember all the numbers. There's something with my brain, dude. I'm good at just like talking to people and remembering funny stories and things like that. But when it comes to like numbers and facts and like memorizing things, it's like, oh, what's a 18-inch ring with a 24-inch Yuli knot, for the donut charge or whatever. Like all those like the crazy stuff with assaultman. I remember that, like, I had those feelings too, as a young guy.
Yeah.
We're getting quizzed on all these things, and I felt like I was just like way behind everyone else because they could just like scream it immediately, and But dude, you earned your place in the section, just as we all had. I showed up as supposed to be the more experienced guy coming from another unit, but I got there on like a Friday night or something, and it was probably like a Tuesday night, and everyone was still just hammered, like the whole 3rd floor weapons platoon. And you just know, dude, it's all these bloodhounds working out and drinking, and I was surrounded by weapons platoon and immediately getting sized up, and like it is a hostile environment that you have to prove yourself in quickly. And yeah, that I remember that PT session where we were running. But dude, what you left out is we were running up a fucking mountain basically, and it was 100 degrees. It's like you weren't like on the Biggest Loser. Yeah, it wasn't like you're on the Biggest Loser trying to cross like a 25-yard turf field that's completely flat. Like, dude, you were still in phenomenal shape. Like, the Marine Corps is harsh. If you can't even be over 18% body fat, or, you're just, everyone will talk shit to you. And then you realize in the civilian world, 18% body fat looks great in the office.
Yeah. I remember, dude, speaking of getting to the unit, I remember showing up and you guys were all in the field. And so me and Cunningham, we're just sitting around, and then like Thursday morning rolls around, and all of a sudden there's a knock on our door. Okay, let's go answer it. And we open it, and in walks Ligon and Nick, and like no blouses. So we don't know who they are. Like, there's no name tapes, There's no rank. We're like, who are these guys? And they're just looking at us. And Wiggin just has this look of disgust on his face. And Nick just walks in and like sits his ass down in our chair and is just sitting there like looking us over. And Wiggin goes, I'm going to butcher his accent, dude, but that thick Louisiana accent. He's like, I want to pull up a Wiggin. And then like we look at Nick and he goes, you call me sensei. We're like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on here? And they're like, and they just kind of look at us. They're like, y'all are going to suffer being here. Like, okay. Like, what the hell? And like, then they leave. And then the shenanigans started, dude. And I know, like, I think you guys can see it on camera. My eye is still messed up, right? Like I still got the lazy eye. And
it looks good though.
Yeah. And I remember like just all the tomfoolery, but the one that sticks out the most with you two bastards was it's like one night and we get a knock on the door. And so whenever there's a knock on the door, we're just like, oh God, like we're about to get jacked up again. And so we got smart where we started cracking the door a little bit to look out first instead of like fully just opening it. And so it was my turn because me and Cunningham took turns opening the door. And it's my turn. And so I cracked the door open a little bit and Dave is standing right there on the edge. And he's looking at me. He's got these big eyes, and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, yes, Corporal. And then I hear Nick from the opposite side of me go, he's hey. And so I turn and like look, and you got this Nerf gun bow and arrow, and you launch that dart, and it just hits me square in my eye, and I collapse to the floor just in pain. and like Lawless is actually like, oh shit, like I think we just hurt him. And Nick's over there like, got him. And so, dude, I get to my feet and I'm like covering my eye, and Nick goes, did I fix it?
Dude, I don't know how you have such a good memory, but I think that's probably exactly how it went, word for word.
I remember being so mad, dude. Like I was so mad, and I was just pissed off. And I remember like, I don't know what it was, but like Dave, you just kind of looked at me, and I think you like knew I was like pissed off about that, and so you were just like, hey man, like go into your room, shut the door, it'll be okay. Like, no, like, you kind of, it was almost like you dropped rank for a second. You're like, just get in your room, you'll be fine. And, and so then, I like go inside, shut the door. And I hear you guys walking away, and Nick goes, so did I fix it or what? Or something like that.
Well, just know, dude, I know I was a bastard. I got hazed the fuck out of too.
I know you guys did. Yeah.
Well, dude, I was listening to some podcast recently. I can't even remember who was talking about this, but they were talking about the idea of like sending your kids to college, and then what is that a great idea because they're going off to basically get raised by people their own age or maybe a couple years older,
right.
Like in with the fraternities and sororities, it's like they're getting they're 18 years old, getting all their advice from like a 21-year-old,
right?
Like this is how you got to live. And then I was listening to this though, but I was like, then you look at the Marine Corps where it's that's what it is.
Yeah, it's literally
to another to a much higher degree. It's like you send your 18-year-old kid to go get their ass whooped every day by like a 20-year-old that's hammered. It's I'm not sure.
That's a crazy concept.
It is. It's nuts.
All these young guys are locked in a building together, and it's like the oldest guy in the building's like maybe 24, and it's like, oh, that's the old fuck. Like he's just in he just goes to bed early.
Unless you're in 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines India Company, and you have the grand old man of the assault section, Lance Corporal Corrales.
Yeah. But he was married.
I wonder what that man's up to these days.
He is an infantry officer in the Marine Corps.
Are you serious?
He is. I don't know. I don't think he might not be infantry, but he is an officer in the Marine Corps.
Maybe for him. Maybe he'll make an appearance and
we'll get him on. He'll fucking
We'll get
chastise me in front of the fucking world.
yeah.
Which I probably deserve.
Yeah, he'll have some things to get off his chest.
Yeah, no
Or
kidding.
Nick, maybe.
Yeah, but I agree, man. It's nuts, like, and I remember being like when when we got our boots, right, and then just realizing, holy crap, dude, like I'm in charge of these guys, and it's my job to like train them and prepare them for this next deployment, like, and then you're like, holy crap, dude, like it's nuts,
Yeah, and that at that point, what, you're like 20 years old?
Yeah, I'm like 20 years old,
and
it's like, here's 2 other dudes to, like, okay.
Yeah.
And you can't be
it's really,
soft because you don't know,
Mhm.
what's going to happen. You're supposed to be stressed the fuck out to deal with stressful situations,
Yeah.
There's probably definitely better ways to go about it than
than me.
flip and wash or shit faced, but it's one route.
Dude, I think one of the worst, probably one of the funniest things that I remember from that boot year, it was a typical Thursday night where you're all hammered and just beating the living shit out of us. And I'm in the stairwell, like mopping the stairs.
That was only you.
And yeah. And
I'll just get it.
And I'm mopping the stairs, and the mop bucket's on top of the stairs, and I'm at the bottom. And Corville walks into the stairwell, and he just looks at me. He's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Private First Class Ceci. I'm with Assault." He's like, "Oh, so you're just a bitch," or something like that. And he Spartan kicks this mop bucket from the top of the stairs, and it flies and just punches me right in the chest, and I fly back against that wall, and there's just mop water everywhere. And he's like, "Clean it up." And then he leaves, and the next person that comes in is, I think it might have been you, Nick. And you're just like, "Ceci, you're not that good at mopping, are you?" And just leaves.
Yeah, man. Well, it builds character, and it all works out in the end, because I don't know about you guys, but I know my wife appreciates that I can clean and take care of myself.
Yep.
Yeah. From a young age, you had to.
Well, and it's nuts. I think it's nuts.
Makes you strong-willed too, man.
Mhm.
I know, like, any type of, I wouldn't say confrontation, but like tension, like I know at my current job, like I got to get up and sometimes talk in front of people or whatever, and some people are like terrified to do that, and that's like, it's like nothing now compared to the shit that we've had to do, or like talking to the president or somebody of the company, and I'm like, this is just another guy. I remember Gunny Wall fucking deadlifting me. How am I supposed to be scared of this guy just because he's in a corporate role or something? You know what I mean? It changes your whole perspective on shit when you're around people like that for so long.
It does. I feel like it just makes things lighter, or like more. Like, I saw that when I immediately went into college right away, and it was like these teachers. I was just so unimpressed, to be honest with you. I was even at University of Georgia, and I left, and that's a story for another time. But that's a big school. It's all over college game day. It's like, it's supposed to be this. It's not Ivy League, but like pretty prestige.
Right.
It's supposed to be an impressive institution, and people are paying like tens of thousands of dollars to go there. I go into a chemistry class the first day. The teacher has a mustard stain on his shirt, and like the big ass belly, and he's trying to lecture everyone on this is how the world works. But it's like he was a younger guy too. Like, he never left academia, so it's like you're getting taught by these people that I was like, man, what yeah, the chemistry calculations and stuff, but like, it's fucking AI could teach you that shit now. So like, what it's all, I was just really unimpressed. And then you see, like, we were all kind of joking, like we had no idea sometimes what we were doing as far as like leadership goes, and how to really take care of your guys. Sometimes it was malicious. But dude, I feel like I'd be way more impressed by like a 25-year-old sergeant teaching a class than these college professors that are getting paid. And I don't want to generalize, there's actually there's a couple of professors I really, really liked, and we might reach out to show soon to be on the show.
Well,
I'm not talking bad about all of them, but overall as a whole, that's the only word I could use for it, was like unimpressed
well, and I think
with the teaching.
I'm sure you guys have gotten this. I remember when I got out, like even now, I think just with the experience that we have, and like you're basically forced to grow up at 20 years old, or younger. And it's like, oh, you're 19, like guess what? You're gonna go deploy, and like people's lives are gonna be in your hands. Like you need to be responsible. That obviously means we still did a bunch of dumb shit that like kids that age would do, but we had responsibility, and it was thrust upon us. And so like I got out and everybody would always say like, oh, so like, what do you do for work? I'm like, oh, well, I'm doing this. Like, okay. And they're like, so yeah, like how old are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm, 20, I'm 25 or I'm 26 or whatever. And they're like, seriously? Like we thought you were 30 or like in your mid 30s. And I think like, obviously like I think what we go through ages us physically. Like I feel like crap. But I think just the maturity, like I remember meeting guys my age when I got out and I'm like, how old are you? Like 18? They're like, oh no, I'm 24. I'm like, there's no way, because you act like a child, and I think just I obviously experiences vary, and we know some guys that were the exact same when they went in as they came out for the most part and didn't really embrace that. But I just get I think that being forced, especially if you were in some sort of leadership role, forces you to mature more. Now, whether we do like you said, Dave, if we do a good job at that or a bad job, like I think it still changes you and it still kind of forces you to mature. Like I remember getting back from that first deployment and, Nick, you and Wigan were leaving and you're like, all right, boys, it's on you now. And then it kind of just hit me like, holy shit, dude, like you're right. Like I'm going to have a team and like these guys coming in are going to look to us and be like, hey, like your job is to train me, to deploy in, 9 months. And it's like, that I think that should weigh heavy on us, and I always appreciated, Dave, what you taught us, just the idea of like, hey, like we may be going to a combat zone. We may go sit on our ass for an entire deployment, but it doesn't matter. Like we need to be ready to fight and like be ready to go to war. And you don't know what you're going to get, and so be ready. And we brought that to, our guys, after you left, Nick. And I think that just, that does a lot to you to mature you and realize like, I got to take care of these guys.
Yeah.
And it's just more fun to be good at it.
Yeah.
Like that was always my thought was, I don't know. And everybody goes down this a little bit of like when there's like pushback or like there's a culture of like it's not cool to like try hard,
right,
or like to like care. I did see this a lot when I moved to the East Coast. With 29 Palms, it was in the air. It was in the culture of like everyone's going to the Middle East. And people gave a fuck and took it serious. And I saw moving to the East Coast, I immediately it just everyone kind of knew, or like you said, you don't know exactly where you're going sometimes, but they were doing different kinds of deployments and there was I don't know, there was more of like a pushback, like it wasn't cool to like try hard or care, and so I'm curious to how things are now with the culture of the military of like, what are they, because there's like everyone who took part in like the global war on terror stuff, whether it's Iraqi freedom, enduring freedom, or inherent resolve, like we did. I feel like all those guys are like gunnies and above now. Like, so it's interesting. I wonder what it's like, man. Like,
yeah.
We all miss it. It'd be fun to drop into to an infantry squad and see what it's like if they're all the same as we were.
Yeah. Who knows? But I do a lot of that with my training. Like there's a lot of people, especially out here in Wyoming, man. where guns are such a prevalent part of the culture where, oh, I grew up hunting. Great, dude. Like shooting a pistol is way different than shooting a rifle, and just shooting at a deer that's not going to shoot back at you is way different than being in a fight. And there's just this, like trying to open people's eyes to like most defensive engagements happen between 0 to 7 yards, are over within 4 seconds, and typically 4 shots are fired. Like, are you fast enough and competent enough to draw your pistol and hit 4 shots, like, and take out that threat and neutralize it within that amount of time? And a lot of people are not. And so when they come to my training, even if they're like, well, I know how to shoot, and then we do the training and they're like, oh, I need more training. It's like, yeah, you do. And if you're going to carry this gun around, and you have it in your mind that you may use it one day to defend yourself, if you've made that decision that, well, I carry a gun, and so, if somebody tries to attack me or do me harm, I'm going to defend myself. Well, if that's your decision, you should probably be proficient with it, because if you miss that round, you don't know where it's going. It can go into somebody's kid. It can go into somebody's wife, into somebody's husband. You're accountable for that round. You don't get to say, well, I was just trying to defend myself. Sorry, I schwacked your grandma. That doesn't fly. And, that's really been what I try to impress upon these people is like, it's a legitimate, thing. Like, you need to be proficient with it if you're going to carry. And I think just generally within our country, a lot of people want all these rights, but they don't understand the responsibility that comes with it, right? Like when the Second Amendment was written, basically every single person owned a gun and was pretty proficient at operating it because it was a common part of life. Now, I still believe there were probably some jackasses out there doing some dumb stuff with them, but the majority of the people probably respected them and understood what they were. Nowadays, I don't see that in the culture. And if it were up to me, everything would be legal. I'm like an absolutist on the Second Amendment. I think you should be able to go on Amazon and buy an M240 Bravo, no problem. But that would require people to be responsible with exercising their rights. But I don't see that a lot, unfortunately. And I get a lot of students that realize that after they take a course and they realize their shooting sucks, And it's like, yeah, if you were to defend yourself, look at all the misses you have on that target, and it's only 7 yards away. Do you think that's acceptable? And they're like, oh, like probably not. It's like, yeah, it's not, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
One second, I gotta check on my dog.
Oh, you're good, dude. But yeah, we talked about some of this stuff with some of the other guys, and I agree with you. With the when the Second Amendment was originally written, these guns weren't as fucking crazy as they are now, too, And yeah, but everyone was hunting and stuff. They had a good understanding, fathers taught their sons how to use them. Now, there's hardly any fathers in any households, it seems. They're still ending up with guns. If I didn't join the military, I would have never been taught.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a thing in my family. My dad, wasn't into guns, or had no like wherewithal to teach me that stuff, and so I think there should be some criteria before, like, yeah, you could order a 240 Bravo on Amazon, but maybe only if you've proven, like, you could like, why are you getting it? Are you taking these courses and learning the proper everything with the weapons, and then like even extending. Like, I was curious, as we get into talking about your company, I always thought something that could be beneficial is, like, before people go to buy these guns, they hear just testimonies and stories from maybe military, police officers, or just like people that have been affected by it, just hear, like, because you're right, dude, people have no idea. Like I was saying, if I didn't join the military and get hands on these things, get some of the top level instruction and time, just the time spent, now people can just buy guns. Yeah, they could take the class, but then they go 5 years without shooting it, and they're still carrying it around every day. It's like, I'm sure you could tell us even better. Like, that stuff's perishable.
Yeah, it's extremely perishable. So I'm shooting, I actually shoot more probably now than I did in the Marine Corps. I shoot a ton. I probably go through 2 to 3,000 rounds a month. Uh, and I shoot a lot of pistol because pistol is a harder skill to master than rifle, just because it takes a little bit more finesse. With rifle, you have more points of contact on the body, easier to control than pistol shooting. But a lot of it, man, is you need to keep that skill up. And there's dry fire skill, there's dry fire training you can do. There's a lot of things you can do to keep those skills up. And I think
I've seen they got VR. There was an ad on my phone earlier for some VR thing where you can I could be sitting here in this room and just shooting targets with I don't know what you hold though. I didn't see that.
They have like VR. They have like a VR model of your gun essentially that you utilize.
Okay.
I just do traditional.
Plastic with like some kind of sensor.
Yeah, I just use traditional dry fire. So I'll just empty my gun out and then just dry fire it. But yeah, man, like it's a perishable skill, and I think that people should just recognize, like, man, if I am like, I've had students tell me like, hey, I've decided like after taking your course, like I'm not going to carry my gun until I come to another course and I'm more proficient. And it's like, great, man. Like if that's what you feel you want to do, like good for you, because you recognize the severity of what you're choosing to do, right? Like if you're, I've had a ton, unfortunately, I've had a ton of guns pointed at me nowadays in training. Like people just absent-mindedly just like pointing a loaded gun at me. And unlike the Marine Corps, we could beat your ass for doing that. I can't do that to the 35-year-old soccer mom who points her loaded gun at my chest, asking me if it's the right way to hold it. And so I gotta like just push the gun out of my face and tell her like, you have a loaded gun, like don't point it at me for God's sake.
Right.
But like, it's I think when people
I've actually had that. I'm not even involved with any firearms training, but I've had it happen from a couple people that talk about being comfortable with guns, and then the first thing they do is flag me with it.
Yeah,
it's we were in a different world.
Yeah,
for sure.
We were, man. And I like training people because it helps open their eyes to like, dude, this is the severity of it. I had a guy, he donated to me old broken down Crown Vic police car because he's like, hey, I want you to do a vehicle, like fighting out of a vehicle, like teach us the tactics on how to fight out of a vehicle, how to get out of a vehicle, in a engagement situation. And I was like, I can do that, but you haven't even been through like a basic course, dude. Like you should probably come to one of my basic courses. Oh, I know how to shoot. Okay, well, come anyways, man. It's a good refresher. He's like, okay. And then he comes to the basic course. He almost shot his foot off loading his gun. Like, I kid you not, he sent a round right between his feet. And and it's like, he realized after that, he was like, he's like, I want to sign up for private lessons because I still want to do the vehicle course, but I realized like I'm actually not that good at this. I thought I was, but I'm not. And so, he signed up for private lessons, and now he's a pretty proficient and safe shooter. But guys like that, there's a lot of people that come to the course and they'll fail the qualifications. And I'm like, yeah, like you can try again later, or come back for more training, but you're not getting the certificate. You're not getting, my reward for passing the class because you failed, and I'm not going to do a disservice to the community by saying, yeah, that guy's good. He can carry a gun, So the way it works in Wyoming is we're a constitutional carry state. So you don't need a permit to carry. But the permit is good because we have a lot of reciprocity with other states and a lot of people here travel. But in Wyoming, it's all based on the instructor. And so I design my own qualifications that people have to pass. And there are other instructors who will give you a 2-hour course and you might not even touch a gun and say, you're good. That's not how I do things because I actually give a crap. And I've had multiple people come to my concealed carry class and they can't pass a basic qual. And I tell them, I'm not going to give you a certificate. Like you're not going to be able to get your concealed carry permit at least through my company, because I care too much about you to say, oh, you're good, when you can't even pass a very simple shooting qualification. that would be a disservice to the community. That'd be a disservice to you. I care too much about the name of my company to say, oh yeah, I let that guy go ahead and get a permit, you know? Like, I don't think that's right, because I actually care that people are safe and responsible. And some people don't like that. And I tell them, hey, if you just want your certificate and if you don't care about training, go to this big box store. You can take their course. It's $50 and you'll talk for 2 hours about concealed carry law and then you'll be good. But that's not my course. I don't care about giving you a piece of paper. I care about actually training you how to defend yourself and your family if that need ever arises, you know? And a lot of people have come to appreciate that. So even when I fail them, they're like, no, I totally get it, you know? And they'll come back for more training, which is, you know, I love to see it. I love to see people take this stuff seriously, because at the end of the day, like, it's a heavy thing, you know, to do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think I'm glad to hear that, you know, it's out of your control. They could, like you said, they could just go down the street to get that 2-hour bullshit course.
Yep.
And I've seen a similar thing with CPR, and I guess it kind of connects, but it's a similar thing. Like it's something, you know, and you're choosing, you are, nobody's forcing. It's not like you're at school and someone's forcing you to, and you're like, oh, I'm going to pick the easy way out. It's like, no, you're choosing to get a gun, or you're choosing to learn CPR with the thought that, like, okay, I'm going to use, you know, the gun as a tool or the CPR as a skill. Like, I'm going to use this to try to help somebody. And you're like, I'll just get the bullshit, you know, $50 course and call it a day, knowing damn well you're not gonna fucking, like that guy almost shot himself in the foot. I feel like you see videos all the time on the internet. Somebody like shoots himself in the leg just sitting there, or, you know, even worse, they accidentally shoot somebody else. And
Yeah.
and we talked about that with Trevor Jenkins, where it's just like, that's kind of a terrifying thing. Like, all these people that think they're so confident, and then it could be walking right by your kids with a gun that's loaded, and they're just retarded, and they, you know, like, it's I'm all for people, you know. By no means do I say take them away. Like, I want to have it in the house, protect my family, dude. There's fucking weird people even in the neighborhood I live in. But I'm saying, like, I don't just want everyone going and grabbing them and then being all cocky about it, like they got the certification.
Yeah.
Like with
And
CPR,
again, I think,
you can, well, just to close that loop, with CPR, you can go to the Red Cross, take the official course, you know, get hands on, and then you leave there with confidence, like, okay, like, yeah, I'm not an EMT, I'm not a paramedic by no means, you know, should you feel that way, but it's like, at least I know basic shit if someone's choking at a restaurant, or now I know, you know, the how to use the defibrillator, you know, those basic things. Or you can do the course online.
Yeah.
And click through the slides, and then you're CPR certified. And it's like, no, you know, like, so it's the same thing you're talking about.
Yeah. And again, my thought process is I always,
everyone should get the training. You know, make it mandatory, maybe. With America, all this gun violence, it's like, we'll start teaching people. Maybe that'll help something. No one else has figured it out. Maybe we just put it part of the curriculum. I don't know.
Yeah, and
He's got a better idea.
And I'm always, you know, for me personally, I'm always gonna err on the side of less government. I'm always gonna err on the side of more freedom for people. And I think it's our job as a community to instill in people, right, like, that you need to be responsible on those rights. And I think we saw that in a microcosm in the Marine Corps, right? It's like, you're the SMAW gunner and you don't know how to do a misfire drill. Like, are you retarded? And then you get shamed into, like, oh, I need to do better for my entire community, right? Like, I need to do better at that. And so when I see people, you know, like when I have people come to my courses and they're like, you know, they have garbage gear, they don't know how to shoot. It's like, I'll politely tell them, hey, like, or I don't tell them directly, but unless it's really bad, but I'll be like, hey, like, do we want to put that blot on the 2A community that you're that asshole that's walking around Walmart with your gun flapping on your side in this garbage holster, and you look like crap, and you look like, no, like, you know, you don't look like a hard target. You look like somebody who's going to hurt other people. Like, is that the image we really want? It's like, no, like we want to be competent, professional people that are going to keep other people safe, especially out here where everyone is all about the gun culture. It's like, hey, if you don't want more government intervention, well, then maybe stop acting like a bunch of retards and get trained up. That way they have nothing to shame you with. There's no way they could say, well, you're doing this wrong. Cause it's like, no, we are a responsible community. We care about each other. Like we're safe with our firearms. Like that will police itself. However, like the reality is we do live in a world where, there's bad people out there. There's stupid people out there. And so when it comes to, that stuff, it is, it's hard to find a decent middle ground. Within that space, I would say. And I would just encourage anybody, if you're going to own a firearm, like you should be well trained with it, and you should show respect to that weapon system and understand the reality that if you fuck around with that, you can kill somebody, you can take a life. And I can't think of anything more horrendous than accidentally or negligently killing somebody that you didn't mean to. Like that's just ridiculous. And I don't know, for me, like my kids, they know all about guns. My 5-year-old is shooting now. And every time he goes to pull his gun out of the gun safe, he has to recite to me the 4 weapon safety rules. And he can do it and he's fine. And he knows, treat never, keep. And he knows all those because I forced him, like, you're not allowed to touch your gun until you tell me the safety rules. And you guys would love it when he's walking around with his gun. Like he's constantly pointing it at the ground. Like if you're standing in front of him, he'll like do this little loop-de-loop with his muzzle facing down so he doesn't flag you because, he doesn't, because he's been trained at a very young age, like, hey, like this is just how we treat guns. And he's super, super respectful about them, and part of it is I tell him, hey, buddy, if you ever want to go shooting or if you ever want to see your gun, you just have to ask dad and I'll go out there with you and we'll do it together. And so now, because it's not like this, mysterious thing that I don't get to do, he doesn't give a shit, he can see a gun and just be like, okay, whatever. Like, that's just part of my life, and then he's yelled at some people. He's like, dad, like that guy is holding his gun wrong. Or like, like you need to be careful with that.
Light their ass up.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to teach him the knife hand next.
I agree with you, man. It's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It's foolish to have something so deadly in your possession and just be like, I don't want to learn, or like I don't want to make sure that like I can handle this thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we definitely want to have you back on the show soon, brother. But I hear, I don't know if it's picked up in the audio at all, but I think both of the twins woke up and I hear crying. I heard 2 different crying tones out there, so I think it's both babies. And plus, we've really been shooting for about an hour and a half, which we're a little over that now too. But dude, I thought I'm glad you came on here to tell us your story like that.
Yeah, man.
I think people will get a lot out of it, and something, they say that if you wanna affect the world, like it starts with your family.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about that where it was in disarray, it was in disorder, and it sounds like you really got things in order.
Yeah.
And then once everything was locked in at home, you started to be able to affect the community, like you're saying right now. At least you're putting out some responsible. Some gun owners and putting people in their place, which I really like. How I know the type that, they shot a deer or 2, and it's like, they're just these professionals now. And then, but it's like, oh, but you just pointed it right at me.
Yeah.
I don't know. We could talk about that stuff forever, but I really appreciate you coming on here and telling us your story. And I don't know, Nick, you got any closing thoughts? Any closing questions?
No, brother. It was good to see you again. Good to talk to you. Hear about how life has been. And, I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I think a lot of people will get a lot out of it. And it's good to see you doing good now, man. And I'm glad your business is successful. Glad your family's healthy. It's always a pleasure. And like I said, we'll have you back, brother.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say for you guys, I love this podcast truly. Like it's been awesome to see you guys have the guys on. Even people we don't know, like your friend from childhood, Dave, and your sister. It's just great. And I think it's really awesome that you guys are doing this. I hope the best for you guys in the podcast. I hope it does blow up and you guys get your own studio and you guys like travel around and you bring people in to interview, man, because I think you guys are great at it. And just as you guys have done it, I've seen it get better and better as far as, your guys' job hosting it. I think you guys are kicking ass. And man, it's really good to see you guys again and to talk to you. And I kind of want to just close with this. And I'm gonna get emotional, okay? So it's okay. It's all gay and everything. But I just want to let you
we'll
guys.
put that in the description.
Yeah, I just want to let you guys
Also
know.
gay.
So other people can know. Like you guys, I mean, I cannot tell you how much I appreciated your guys' leadership and your drive in training me up, like in the Marine Corps. Like you guys never gave up on me. You guys worked your asses off to get me to where I was. And I owe a lot of that to your guys' leadership and the modeling of it. And I just want to thank you guys so much for that because man, it was hard, but like being there with you guys and your leadership really helped me out a lot. The ass kickings, like, the the gun runs up Dragon's Brack and Sugar Cookie and all that. As much as it sucked, man, it helped me. And you guys didn't give up on me, even when there were other people that were like, "Oh, that fucking dude, like get rid of him." And I really appreciate that. And so thank you guys very much for all you invested in me during that time. It means a lot professionally and personally. And so thank you guys. And I'm super stoked to see you guys doing this podcast. It means a lot.
Thank you, brother.